What's going on? My name's Ross, man. Welcome to my channel, Lyrical Spiritual Breakdown. On this channel, what I want to do is go over some of the songs that I wrote and just break down what the lyrics are about, simple and plain. So I used to go around and back in the day, I used to hand out these tapes and I would write all these names of these songs on here, different songs that I wrote. I actually used to have a double tape deck. I would take a double tape deck, put tapes on one side, and then on the other side, I would play a beat. Mostly would be industry beats that I would get from the store, play them over the beats, and then I would mix them together and make a song out of them. Of course, a lot of that stuff, a lot of these songs on here, I can't play on here because it was over industry beats. But then as time went along, I was able to get some beats here and there and put some of the stuff on Spotify and some of the major platforms people use. So I have some of that stuff up as well. But I will write down on these pads. I had this medicine, just a book of rhymes. Got another book of rhymes right here, book of rhymes. So that's how I would do. But the first song I want to break down is called Dreams. I had a dream, saw my mother-in-law dressed in white. It must have been in heaven with Eric and Annie Clapton, but this was not a seventh. Guess I'm blinded by the light. That's how Saul got it right. He's from Tarsus. Then I traveled back in time, saw Adam playing in the garden before Eve bit the fruit and Jesus came to our pardon. I'm wrestling in my sleep before my rude awakening. How ravishing the garden was before the fall of man. My androids ringing. Tell that robot to snooze again. Not quite ready for the coffee and news again. The blue collar and the rat race of pacing man. Rather escape again under the blanket made by Canadians. Dreams. And of course it's like dreams, 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 dreams. Verse 1. Feeling like Joseph. My sin wanna enslave me, but I split them like Moses. Check out your boy with dry sandals in the Red Sea. Tsunamis to the left and right of me, cause God riding with me. Hitting switches, I call that a life change. Don't feel the fire when these Nebuchadnezzars throwing flames. Yeah, I'm on aim. Air Force, got the most high. Who gave the Air Force? That's not a question, man. I'm on my Superman and Satan's at a kryptonite. I'm gonna sleep good tonight. No shots fired in my hood tonight. I call that a solid night. I wish this wasn't just my dreams. Dreams, dreams, dreams. That's verse 2. So I'm breaking down verse 1. I said I had a dream. I saw my mother-in-law dressed in white. I must have been in heaven with Eric and Annie Camden. So my mother-in-law, my wife's mom, she passed away from cancer. But she was a sold out Christian. So when I say I must have seen her dressed in white when I had this dream, what I'm saying is, I'm thinking of an angel in the glowing white and the beauty of that pureness of a heavenly angel. It must have been in heaven with Eric and Annie Camden. Eric and Annie Camden were on the seventh heaven, which was a show about a Christian show. So I'm just kind of tying that all together, heaven and the show and Eric and Annie Camden. And it says but it's not the seventh. Guess I'm blinded by the light. So it's like the seventh heaven, but so it wasn't the seventh when this happened. So I'm just tying all that together. Like my rhymes, I like to tie words together just to make them wiggle together, just come together. And I just kind of write bar by bar and just let it come to me. I guess I'm blinded by the light. So there's this shining light. So I'm picturing that shining light from heaven and my mother-in-law and all her radiance and the brightness of that purity. And you can't see. And it's like, that's how Saul got it right. He's from Tarsus. So, Saul in the Bible, he became Paul, but Saul, he used to kill Christians. He was a bad guy. And when he went from Saul to Paul, he was traveling to Tarsus, and that's where he he was blinded, and then when he came back and he repented, and now he's what we know as Paul, who was one of the disciples with Jesus who got everything right. So that's how Saul got it right. He's from Tarsus. Then I traveled back in time, saw Adam playing in the garden before Eve bit the fruit and Jesus came to our pardon. So it's like I'm traveling back in time, seeing Adam playing in the garden, like before the fall of man, before the biting of the fruit, before Eve bit the fruit. And when I say before Eve bit the fruit and Jesus came to our pardon, because Jesus came and pardoned our sins based on the sin in the garden where it separated us from God, and they had to leave the garden, and then you had the tree, the tree of life that was protected by the cherubim, so nobody could get that everlasting life or know everything. So then they had to leave the garden. And then now Christ comes back later, and then but he takes our part in that, and now we can have that everlasting life that we were meant to have before all that. And it says, I'm wrestling in my sleep before my rude awakening. How ravishing the garden was before the fall of man. When I think of something being ravishing, it's like ravishing something being like just amazing. It's just like all this stuff going on. It's just like this brilliance of life, this brilliance of just the creation. And the ravishing gardens, to me, when something's ravishing, it's flourishing and like it's abundant. And the reason why I use the word ravishing is because I said I'm wrestling with my sleep before my rude awakening. So I'm thinking about Ravishing Rick Rude, who was an old wrestler. So I'm tying that all again, wrestling with my sleep. And then it's like rude awakening. I'm like, man, I'm having this great dream. And it's like I'm awoken. I was like, I don't want to be awoken. I want to stay in this dream. But I was awoken, so that's kind of how I'm tying that together. So then I said my android's ringing. Tell that robot to snooze again. So I'm an Android guy, so I'm talking about my phone. My phone is ringing. It's tell the robot or the Android to snooze again. It's like I don't want to wake up. I'm gonna stay asleep and continue dreaming, but all this happens. I'm awakened by the phone, and also when I'm talking about the garden and all that time together, the rude awakening, the phone's waking me up, and it's like I want to snooze again, but now I'm up. They said, of course, self-explanatory. Not quite ready for the coffee and news again. Back in the day, get up, drink a cup of coffee, read the newspaper. We didn't have the phone back then where you could just go on your phone and like look up news, what's going on and this and that. You had to look at the newspaper. So I was thinking, kind of like, before all that, and kind of tying in those kind of terms. The blue collar and the rat race of pace of man, which, blue collar working, I'm actually a cable guy, so I work blue collar and I'm out there working. And rat race is like everybody's running around trying to make it. It says, I'd rather escape again under this blanket made by Canadians. So it's like I'd rather go back to sleep and escape back into this dream. And the blanket was actually made by Canadians. So I literally, when I was writing this rhyme, I literally looked at the blanket and it said made in Canada. So I'm like, okay, made by Canadians. And it just so happened to rhyme with this rhyme. So that's the breakdown of verse 1. Verse 2, dreams. So I say, feeling like Joseph, my sin wants to enslave me, but I split him like Moses. So when I say feeling like Joseph, in the Bible, Joseph was a dreamer. So he used to be able to interpret dreams. So of course, I'm trying to stick with the subject of dreaming. So I'm feeling like, Joseph the dreamer. It's like my sin wants to enslave me, but I split him like Moses. So my sin wants to kind of engulf me and take me over, but I split him. So I'm thinking about like splitting the Red Sea like Moses. Um, then it says, check out your boy with dry sandals in the Red Sea. Tsunamis to the left and right of me, because God riding with me. So it's like, check out your boy with dry sandals in the Red Sea. So, you know, when Moses split the sea, there's water everywhere. And most of back in those times, everybody, well, most people, they had sandals. Well, that's what we think. Oh, they had sandals. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have sandals, but I think of back in the day, everybody had sandals because that's what people wore. So I'm saying my sandals are dry, even though I'm in the water with these tsunamis. So I'm thinking about tsunamis being these big bodies of water to the left and right of me. But even with all this water, my sandals are dry. Why? Because God's riding with me, you know. So God's with me, so he's on my side riding with me, so I'm dry, you know, even though I'm going through this. Hitting switches, I call that a life change. So when I'm saying hitting switches, I'm like, you know, when you riding in a car, you can hit, you know, a low rider, you can hit switches, you riding, hitting switches, you know, riding, hitting them switches. But, you know, I'm not in a car, but because of sometimes when you know, ride a rhyme, you kind of tie in things like that because it's like, I'm riding, so what do you ride? You ride in the car. What is riding? Ride with your boys. We're going to ride out. So just tying all those analogies together. So I'm hitting switches. I call it a life change. So you could be changing lanes, but life change, it's like, okay, I'm not changing lanes, but it's life change. So I'm calling hitting switches a life change because I'm changing, swerving, changing lanes, whatever. I call it a life change. Don't feel the fire when these Nebuchadnezzars throwing flames. So when I say I don't feel the fire when these Nebuchadnezzars throwing flames, you know, King Nebuchadnezzar in the Bible, you had Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they wouldn't bow down, even though Nebuchadnezzar said he would throw them in the fire. So he throws them in the fire and they don't burn because, you know, God's with them. So, like, I don't feel the fire when these Nebuchadnezzars throwing flames. You know, yeah, I'm on AIM Air Force. Got the Most High who gave the Air Force. So when I say yeah, I'm on AIM Air Force, I was in the Navy, in the military, but I know the Air Force, their slogan, I believe it was aim high. I think it was aim high. So I'm on AIM, like the Air Force, aiming high. Even though I was in the Navy, but I just tied it to my rhyme. I said, got the Most High who gave the Air Force. That's not a question, man. So it's like, I got the Most High who gave the Air Force. And it's like, I'm not asking a question. I'm like, the Most High, he made the air, so he can give the Air Force or whatever to the air. He controls the air. So it's like, that's not a question. So I'm with the Most High who gave the Air Force. Not a question, man. And then the next bar says, I'm on my Superman and Satan's out of kryptonite. I'm going to sleep good tonight. So I'm on my Superman and Satan's out of kryptonite. Self-explanatory. I'm feeling like Superman and there's no kryptonite. Like Satan's out of kryptonite. So now, I mean, if I'm feeling like Superman and there's no kryptonite, Satan's out of it, then I'm feeling invincible. And I'm going to sleep good tonight. It's like, I'm feeling invincible, sleeping good tonight, nothing can bother me, I'm good. No shots fired in my hood tonight. I call that a silent night. I wish it wasn't just my dreams. So, no shots fired in the hood tonight. I call that a silent night. It's like, it's self-explanatory, but you know, in the hood a lot of times, you know, you'll hear gunshots and different stuff like that. Of course, they loud. They'll wake you up and, you know, it's not silent. So when I'm saying that, I'm like, you know, it's a silent night. But, you know, because it's a spiritual rhyme, I'm thinking like silent night, holy night. So I'm relating it to spiritual lyrics. You know, when I write, I'm thinking of spiritual things. That's my goal. And I said, I wish it wasn't just my dream. So it's like, I wish it was like that, but in reality, of course, we know, you know, that's the reality of the situation. Sometimes these things happen, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a breakdown of dreams. So guys, please check me out, like and subscribe. We're just getting started with this. I'm gonna be posting more, breaking down these songs I wrote. Hopefully you guys enjoy this content. Like I said, I just wanna give the world some love from my heart, you know. And that's the video.